When I refused to sign over the deed to my house, my stepfather actually slapped me. So, naturally I called 911 and as a result he wound up spending his golden years behind bars. Hey everyone, if stories like this resonate with you, please consider supporting my channel by subscribing. Say hi in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. Now let's get back to our story for today. The scent of lavender perfume, my mother's signature fragrance, still hung heavy in her bedroom, even 3 weeks after her funeral. There I stood, clutching the deed to the house she'd left me, with tears just pouring down my face. Mom had worked 2 jobs day in and day out for 17 years to buy this place. And now finally it was mine. You just gonna stand there crying all day? Or are you going to be useful? My stepfather Raymond's voice sliced through my grief like a razor. He had moved in about 6 years prior, and he'd charmed my mom with his smooth talk and his expensive cologne. I never trusted him, not even for a second. I'm just remembering her, I whispered, carefully folding the deed. Raymond edged closer, his cologne completely overpowering Mama's fading scent. Speaking of that house, Eduardo needs a place to stay. You know how hard it is for young black men out here. Your mama would want you to help your stepbrother. My stomach just twisted into knots. Eduardo was Raymond's 28-year-old son from his first marriage. He'd been in and out of jail twice. And Mom had specifically told me, just 2 months before she passed. Don't let Raymond pressure you about this house, baby. I bought it for you. You hear me? The house is mine, Raymond. Mama left it to me in her will. His jaw just tightened. We're family now. And family helps family. Eduardo is struggling and you've got this whole house to yourself. I said no. My voice shook, but I meant it with every fiber of my being. Raymond's eyes just turned cold. You're being selfish. Your mama raised you better than this. That's when I knew that this was only the beginning, a preview of what was to come. If you've ever dealt with family trying to take what's rightfully yours, please drop a comment below. You are definitely not alone in this. The next morning, I woke up to someone pounding on my bedroom door. Raymond had stayed in the guest room, claiming he needed time to settle Mom's affairs. I'd been too exhausted to even argue with him about it. Girl, open this door. His voice boomed right through the wood. I wrapped my robe around myself and finally opened the door. Raymond was standing there with Eduardo, who I barely even knew. Eduardo was tall, wearing expensive sneakers that seemed really out of place for someone who was supposedly struggling. His eyes just swept over me with an entitlement that really made my skin crawl. Eduardo, tell her about your situation, Raymond ordered. Eduardo sighed very dramatically. Look, I'm just trying to get my life together. My baby mama kicked me out, and I just need some stability. You've got 3 bedrooms here. We could work out some kind of rent or something. This isn't a rental property, I said firmly. I'm sorry that you're going through all of that, but Mama left this house to me. She had her reasons. Raymond's face just reddened. Her reasons? What reasons? I was her husband for 6 years. You were never on the deed, Raymond. That was Mama's choice. Because she was listening to your poisonous whispers. He stepped forward and I instinctively stepped back. You always tried to turn her against me. Now she's gone and you're showing your true colors. Eduardo put a hand on his father's shoulder. Chill. Maybe she needs some time to think about it. Think about what? I snapped. There's absolutely nothing to think about. This is my house. Raymond pointed at me, his finger just inches from my face. Your mama would be ashamed. We've got 2 weeks to figure this out or we're getting lawyers involved. They left me standing there, trembling with rage and also fear. Have you ever been bullied by family? Let me know about it in the comments. That afternoon, I sat down at Mom's old dining table, the one she'd refinished herself, and I called my Aunt Cheryl. She had been Mom's younger sister and the only family member I truly trusted. Baby, what's wrong? Her warm voice immediately just made me tear up all over again. I told her everything. The silence that followed felt like it weighed a ton. Your mama warned me that this might happen, Aunt Cheryl finally said. Raymond showed his behind even at the funeral, asking about insurance policies and bank accounts. Baby, listen to me very carefully. Do not sign anything at all. That house is yours legally. He's got absolutely no claim to it. But what if he really does get lawyers involved? Just let him. He'll lose. Your mama's will was ironclad. I made sure of it. We went to my lawyer friend together about 6 months before she passed. Aunt Cheryl's voice hardened up. Raymond is running a game, sweetheart. He's been planning this all along. My blood just ran cold. What do you mean planning? Eduardo has a warrant out for his arrest. Something about unpaid child support in violation of probation. Raymond needs somewhere to hide his son until all of this blows over. Your mama found out about it. That's partly why she made sure that will was airtight. I felt completely sick to my stomach. She never told me any of this. She didn't want to stress you out while she was sick. But she made me promise to look out for you. Now I need you to do something for me. Go to her bedroom. Look in the bottom drawer of her nightstand. There's a leather journal in there. Read it. I found the journal exactly where Aunt Cheryl said it would be. Mama's handwriting filled all of the pages, documenting everything. Raymond's gambling problems, Eduardo's arrests. Their schemes to borrow money that never got repaid. The final entry, dated just 1 week before she died, just shattered me. My hands were shaking so badly as I read Mom's last entry. I don't have much time left. The doctor said maybe 2 weeks. Raymond doesn't know I overheard him on the phone yesterday, telling Eduardo that once I'm gone, they'll handle my daughter. He said the house would be Eduardo's because I'm too sick to know what I'm signing. Baby, if you're reading this, please be careful. I made a mistake bringing that man into our lives. Don't let him take what we built. I bought this house with my blood. Every double shift, every missed holiday, every single sacrifice. It's yours. Not his. Never his. Tears just blurred my vision. Mom had known all along. She died knowing that Raymond was already plotting against me, and she still tried to protect me from beyond the grave. I just kept reading page after page of documentation. Dates Raymond had taken money from her purse. Times Eduardo had stolen things from the house. A copy of a police report from 2 years ago when Eduardo had been arrested for assault. Mom had attached a note to that. He hit his girlfriend right in front of their baby. Raymond bailed him out and never even told me the truth. The front door just slammed open. Raymond's voice echoed all through the house. Where you at, girl? I quickly hid the journal under my mattress and wiped away my tears. When I came out, Raymond and Eduardo were in the kitchen, eating the leftover food from Mom's past. We need to talk, Raymond said, with his mouth full of potato salad. Sit down. This is my house. I don't have to sit down. Eduardo laughed. She's got attitude, Pop, just like you said. Watch your mouth, I snapped at Eduardo, then I turned to Raymond. Say what you need to say and then leave. Raymond stood up very slowly, and all of a sudden the kitchen felt much smaller. I've been patient with you, but I'm done playing games. Raymond pulled some papers from his jacket pocket and slapped them down on the kitchen counter. The sound just made me flinch. Sign these. I picked up the documents, my nursing training helping me stay calm, even though my heart was racing. They were transfer papers. Deed transfer papers over to Eduardo's name. You've completely lost your mind, I said, throwing them right back at him. I'm not signing anything. Your mama would want you to help family, Raymond said, his voice just dropping into a threatening whisper. She'd want Eduardo to have a chance. Mama wanted me to have this house. It's in her will, her legal will, that you can't do anything about. Eduardo stood up, and I noticed that he was blocking the doorway. My pulse just quickened. Look, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way, Eduardo said. My pops took care of your mama when she was sick. You owe us. I don't owe you anything. My voice rose. My mama took care of your father. She paid his bills, cooked, cleaned, and worked herself to death while he... Raymond's hand slammed against the counter so hard that the papers actually jumped. Watch yourself. I loved your mama. You loved her house and her bank account. The words just flew out of my mouth before I could even stop them. I found her journal, Raymond. I know everything. The gambling, the stealing, all of it. His face went pale and then red. The temperature in the room just shifted. Eduardo moved closer to his father, and they exchanged a look that terrified me. That journal doesn't mean anything, Raymond said quietly. Sick people imagine things. They write crazy stuff. You can't prove anything. I can prove you're not on the deed. I can prove that this house is legally mine, so get out. We're not going anywhere, Eduardo said. This is just as much our house as it is yours now. I pulled out my phone. Then I'm calling the police. Raymond lunged forward and snatched the phone right out of my hand. The speed of it just shocked me. Give me my phone. I reached for it, but Raymond held it way up over his head. Not until you listen to reason, he said. We're not trying to take anything from you. We just want what's fair. Fair? Fair. I was screaming now. Months of grief and anger just pouring out of me. What's fair is that you leave my mother's house. What's fair is that you stop trying to steal from me. What's fair is... The slap came out of nowhere. Raymond's palm connected with my face so hard that I stumbled backward into the refrigerator. The metallic taste of blood just filled my mouth. The whole world went silent. I touched my lip and my fingers just came away red. Eduardo stood there frozen, his eyes wide. Raymond looked at his hand like it belonged to somebody else. I didn't mean to, Raymond started. Something inside me just broke. Not the weak, afraid part, but the strong part, the part of me that was Mama's daughter. You put your hands on me. My voice was deadly calm. In my house, the house my mother bought. You hit me. You were being hysterical, Raymond said, but his voice shook. I just needed you to calm down and listen. Get out now. Wait a minute. Get out of my house. I lunged past Eduardo, grabbed the landline off the hallway table, and dialed 911 before either of them could even stop me. 911, what's your emergency? My stepfather just assaulted me in my home, I said clearly, my eyes locked on Raymond's. He slapped me and he's refusing to leave. I need the police here now. Raymond's face just went from red to gray. Hang up that phone. Don't be stupid. I gave my address while Raymond just stood there frozen. Eduardo grabbed his father's arm. Pop, we need to go now. She's not actually. Officers are on the way, the dispatcher said. Stay on the line with me. Are you safe right now? I will be when they're gone. Raymond and Eduardo didn't leave. That was their second mistake. Their first mistake was thinking that I wouldn't follow through. You're making a huge mistake, Raymond said, pacing around my living room. Family doesn't call the police on family. You stopped being family when you hit me. I stayed on the phone with the dispatcher, my cheek throbbing. And you were never my family. You were just some man who married my mother. Eduardo stood by the window looking out. Cops just pulled up, Pop. I watched Raymond's face cycle through a whole range of emotions. Anger, fear, and calculation. He turned to me with this sudden gentleness that made me sick. Baby girl, let's just think about this for a second. Your mama just died. You're emotional. I understand that. We both got heated. But if you let those cops in here, you're going to ruin everything. They're going to arrest me. And then what? You'll be all alone. Is that what you want? The doorbell rang. That's exactly what I want, I said, walking to the door. My hands were shaking, but I opened it anyway. 2 officers were standing there, one black woman about 40 and one white man maybe 30. The woman's eyes immediately went to my face. Ma'am, are you the one who called? Yes, he's inside. I pointed at Raymond. He hit me, and he's been refusing to leave my property. The male officer stepped right past me. Sir, can you step outside, please? This is a misunderstanding, Raymond said, his hands up and his voice all smooth. This is my stepdaughter. We had a disagreement about her mother's estate. I'm in mourning. She's in mourning. Emotions just got really high. Did you strike her? The female officer asked, looking at my swelling lip. It was barely a tap. She's being very dramatic. That's not what I asked. Did you strike her? Raymond's jaw tightened. She was hysterical. I was just trying to calm her down. So yes, step outside, sir. Now. I watched them put Raymond in handcuffs while he protested. Eduardo tried to leave, but the female officer stopped him. You live here? No, I said quickly. Neither of them do. At the police station 2 hours later, I was sitting in a small room with Detective Lisa Morrison, who was the female officer who'd arrived first. She'd gotten me some ice for my face and was taking my statement. Your stepfather has quite a record, she said, sliding a paper across the table. Did you know about this? I looked down at Raymond's rap sheet. My vision was blurred. Assault, fraud, and 3 restraining orders from previous partners. The oldest charge was from 20 years ago. My mother didn't know about any of this, I whispered. She couldn't have known. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but he used a fake name when he met her. His real name is Raymond Mitchell, not Raymond Peters. We've been looking for him in connection with an identity theft case from 2 years ago. Your mother's name was one of the victims." The room just spun. "What?" Detective Morrison's face was very kind, but also serious. He opened credit cards in her name, took out loans. Your mother's credit was completely destroyed before she died. Did she ever mention any financial problems? I thought back to Mom working all that overtime those last 2 years. Her stress. The way she cried when she couldn't afford her medication 1 month. She said that her insurance just wasn't covering everything. I thought it was just all the medical bills. But it was Raymond all along. And there's more. Eduardo has active warrants out for his arrest. Your stepfather was hiding him from a domestic violence charge. The victim was Eduardo's ex-girlfriend. She's been trying to press charges for months. I just started crying. Deep body-shaking sobs. He killed her. The stress killed my mother. We're going to need everything that you have. The journal, any documents, any evidence that he coerced or manipulated your mother. I told her everything about the transfer papers, the threats, the journal. Everything Mama left behind. By the time I was finished, Detective Morrison was already making phone calls. We're charging him with assault, attempted fraud, and we're reopening your mother's case. If we can prove elder abuse and financial exploitation, he's looking at some serious time. Good, I said, my voice really hard. I want him to pay for what he did to her. The next 3 weeks were just a total nightmare. Detectives went through Mom's finances, and every discovery was just like a knife to my heart. Raymond had stolen over $70,000 from her. $70,000 that she'd saved up for her retirement, for emergencies, for peace of mind. Aunt Cheryl came to stay with me. I just couldn't be alone in the house. I couldn't sleep without seeing Raymond's face or hearing Mom's voice in my dreams. I should have seen it, I told Cheryl one night. We were sitting in Mom's bedroom going through her things. I should have protected her. Baby, your mama was a grown woman. She made her own choices and she did protect you. That's what the will was for. That's what the journal was for. Cheryl held my hand. She knew that she'd been fooled, and she just made sure that you wouldn't be. We found even more evidence. Bank statements showing transfers to accounts that we didn't even recognize. Forged signatures. A life insurance policy that Raymond had tried to change, making himself the beneficiary instead of me. The insurance company had flagged it as suspicious and then frozen it. That was probably why he'd gotten so desperate about the house. Detective Morrison called me one afternoon. We got him. The DA is charging him with elder abuse, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, identity theft, fraud, and assault. Eduardo is being charged as an accessory. They're both looking at 10 to 15 years minimum. I should have felt victorious at that moment. Instead, I just felt hollow. Will that bring my mother back? No. But it'll give her justice. And it'll protect the next woman that he tries to con. That's when it really hit me. I wasn't his first victim, and I definitely wouldn't have been his last. How many other families had Raymond destroyed? If you've ever been scammed by someone that you trusted, I see you. Drop a comment and let's talk about it. The trial started 6 months later. I'd used that time to heal myself, to repair Mom's credit, and to reclaim her name. I also started a support group for people dealing with financial abuse from family members. It turned out that I was definitely not alone. Not by a long shot. The courtroom was packed. Raymond's lawyer tried to paint me as this bitter, greedy daughter who turned on her grieving stepfather. They brought in character witnesses who claimed that Raymond was a good man who was going through a hard time. Then it was finally my turn to testify. I wore Mom's favorite color, purple. Her strength just wrapped around me like a warm coat. Miss Johnson, can you tell the court about your relationship with the defendant? The prosecutor asked. I looked directly at Raymond. He just couldn't meet my eyes. He was a stranger who had married my mother, and then spent 6 years stealing from her, lying to her, and ultimately contributing to her death through stress and financial abuse. Objection. Raymond's lawyer just jumped up. Speculation about the cause of death. Sustained, the judge said. Stick to the facts, Miss Johnson. I nodded. The facts are these. Raymond Mitchell, using the false name Raymond Peters, married my mother while hiding a criminal record. He systematically drained her bank accounts, opened fraudulent credit cards, forged loan documents, and stole her peace of mind. When my mother died and I inherited her house, He attempted to force me to sign it over to his son through intimidation and ultimately violence. These are just the facts. The prosecutor then presented the journal. Mom's words filled the entire courtroom. When they read her final entry out loud, I watched several of the jurors wipe their eyes. Then came the bombshell. The prosecutor called a witness I didn't even know. Patricia Daniels, a woman in her 60s with very sad eyes. Miss Daniels, do you know the defendant? I was married to him, she said very quietly. 20 years ago, he did the exact same thing to me. Took everything. When I tried to stop him, she touched her arm. He broke my wrist. The courtroom just erupted. 3 more women testified. 3 more victims. Raymond had a pattern that spanned 30 years. Each time he'd find a woman with assets, charm his way into her life, steal absolutely everything, and then disappear when she caught on or died. Mom wasn't his first victim. She was just the first one whose daughter fought back. Eduardo testified too, and he turned on his father in order to get a reduced sentence. Pop told me it was easy money, he said, avoiding my eyes. Said these women were lonely and stupid. Said they'd never suspect a thing. After Miss Johnson's mama died, Pop said that we'd pressure her until she just gave up the house. Then we'd sell it and split the money. And when she refused, the prosecutor asked. Pop said that we'd find another way, just make her really uncomfortable, scare her. He said that women always break eventually. I felt completely sick but also vindicated. The jury looked totally disgusted. Raymond finally took the stand in his own defense. It was a complete disaster. He tried to claim that he'd loved Mom, that everything was just a simple misunderstanding. The prosecutor just tore him apart with all of the evidence. Bank statements, forged signatures, recorded phone calls where Raymond discussed the con with Eduardo. Mr. Mitchell, you told your son that the victim was stupid and easy, correct? That was taken out of context. You referred to her daughter, the plaintiff, as an obstacle that just needed to be handled. Correct? Correct. I didn't mean. You slapped her hard enough to split her lip when she refused to sign over property that legally belonged to her. Correct? Raymond didn't say a word. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they came back, I held Aunt Cheryl's hand so tightly that my fingers actually went numb. On the count of elder abuse in the first degree, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, guilty. On the count of identity theft, guilty. On the count of fraud, guilty. On the count of assault, guilty. Guilty on all counts. I watched Raymond's face just crumble. For once he didn't have any smooth words, no charm, no way out. The sentencing hearing was 2 months later. The judge allowed victim impact statements. I prepared mine very carefully with Aunt Cheryl's help. Your Honor, I began, my voice steady. Raymond Mitchell stole my mother's life. Not just her money or her house or her peace. He stole years that she should have spent happy and secure. He stole her final months, filling them with stress that weakened her already fragile health. He stole her dignity, her trust, and her joy. I pulled out a photo of Mom. This is who she was before Raymond. Smiling, full of life. She worked as a nurse for 30 years. She helped people. She raised me all alone after my father died. Never complaining, always sacrificing. She deserved better than a con man who saw her as just a mark. My voice cracked, but I continued. After she died, he tried to steal from me too. And when I refused, he hit me in my own home. And he would have kept going if I hadn't called the police. How many other women didn't call? How many other families did he destroy? I looked at Raymond. You don't deserve forgiveness. You deserve exactly what you're about to get. Patricia Daniels spoke next, then the other victims. By the end of it, there wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom except for Raymond's. He sat there stone-faced, finally out of words. The judge's voice was like ice. Mr. Mitchell, you are a predator. You targeted vulnerable women, exploited their loneliness and trust, and you destroyed their lives for profit. You showed absolutely no remorse, no conscience, and no humanity. This court sentences you to 15 years in state prison for elder abuse, to run consecutively with 12 years for financial exploitation and 5 years for identity theft. Total sentence, 32 years. 32 years. Raymond was 63 years old. He'd die in prison. The courtroom just erupted in applause. The judge banged her gavel, but she didn't stop it immediately. She let us all have that moment. Eduardo got 8 years for his role in all of this. Justice wasn't just served, it was delivered with interest. 1 year later I stood in Mom's garden, which was my garden now, planting roses, purple ones, her favorite. The house was truly mine now, both legally and emotionally. I'd renovated her bedroom, turning it into a home office where I could run my support group's website. We'd helped 43 families escape financial abuse. Every time someone shared their story, I just thought of Mom. She'd lost her battle, but her death had sparked a war that I was determined to win. Aunt Cheryl came over every Sunday for dinner. We'd talk about Mom, sharing memories that made us laugh and cry. The grief never really disappeared, but it softened into something that I could actually carry. "She'd be so proud of you," Cheryl said one evening, looking around at the renovated house. "You took her sacrifice and turned it into something powerful. I just wish she was here to witness it all." I dabbed at my eyes, wishing I could somehow tell her that I was doing okay. But deep down I knew she already knew. Wherever she was watching, and she knew. I'd occasionally think about Raymond wasting away in prison. I didn't derive any pleasure from his suffering, but I did feel a sense of tranquility knowing that he couldn't inflict harm on anyone else. His appeals were all denied. He was going to serve every single day of that 32-year sentence. Eduardo was released after 5 years due to good behavior. He even sent me a letter, an apology of sorts. I never bothered to open it. Some people simply don't deserve forgiveness. And I'd come to realize that choosing peace doesn't equate to accepting hollow apologies. The house Mama had purchased with her own blood, sweat, and tears was still standing strong. Now it was filled with light, brimming with hope, and echoing with the voices of survivors finding their strength. Each time someone walked through my door for a support group meeting, I could practically feel Mama smiling down. She'd always wanted me to have this house. I transformed it into a sanctuary for healing. That was my ultimate act of defiance against Raymond. Not merely his imprisonment, but my survival, my flourishing, my refusal to allow his actions to destroy me in the same way they destroyed Mama. If you're grappling with toxic family dynamics, financial exploitation, or anyone attempting to steal what rightfully belongs to you, fight back with everything you have. Meticulously document everything. Trust your gut instincts. Contact the police. Hire lawyers. Don't ever let anyone make you feel guilty for safeguarding yourself. Mama wasn't able to save herself, but she did save me. And now, I'm utilizing that salvation to rescue others. That's how we truly honor the memory of those we've lost. By becoming the very people they needed when they were enduring their suffering. I planted the final rose bush. Its blooms a vibrant purple and utterly perfect. "This one's for you, Mama," I whispered softly. We won. If this story resonated with you in any way, please hit that like button and subscribe. Share it with anyone who needs to hear that they are not alone, that they have the power to fight back, and that justice, however delayed, is always worth fighting for. Leave a comment sharing your own story. Together we stand stronger. Together we heal.